host, John Davis.
Hello and welcome again to MotorWeek 88. We're glad to have you with us. A few years back, we tested a Lotus Esprit Turbo. It was fast and felt like it could maneuver on the head of a pin. Except for a few rough edges and its $50,000 price, we liked it. Well, a lot has happened in the past 2 years. For one thing, Lotus was purchased by General Motors at the end of 1986. For another, the Lotus Esprit has been given a new body for 1988. So we figured it was time to take another look. Believe it or not, we hate it when we have to spend our usual 2 or 3 weeks with cars like this. First of all, everyone on the staff argues about who gets to drive it and on what night. And then, when you do take it home, every kid on the block, young and old alike, wants a ride. The life of a road tester is hell. And our tormentor, the newest Lotus Esprit Turbo, was even harder on us than last time. First off, the Esprit's fiberglass body is all new. So new that even some people who should know better don't know what this car is. While we're on the subject, fiberglass smoothness and paint quality is better than ever. Our car was simply gorgeous to look at. As with the previous Esprit, the roof panel pops out for open-air driving. A small deflector helps to keep 100-mile-per-hour air from singeing your scalp. Since the body shell was changed, so were a few things inside. Getting in the Esprit still takes a bit of twist and duck, but once you're there, there's more room than before, thanks to a repositioned seat and redesigned transmission tunnel. The seats hold you in, but have the minimum of adjustments. The most important one is rake. Taller drivers have to sit in a laid-back racing position for their heads to clear the roof. The parking brake lever is on the left side of the driver and drops down out of the way. Lights and other controls are hands length away from the steering wheel on pods to the left and right. The horn is French style on the left signal stalk. The mirrors and windows are both power-operated via door-mounted controls. The heat and air conditioning operates from the center console. Clearly marked rotary knobs couldn't be much easier to use. The Blaupunkt radio falls to hand, but we heard the typical complaints from long-nailed lady passengers about controls and buttons being too small. Front speakers are positioned high on the dash near the windshield. The only real gripe we have about the interior is with the gauges. Sure, all the information you could possibly want is available, including details of turbo boost, but we found you just can't see the gauges. For most drivers, speeds above 50 and revs over 2,000 are hidden by the upper steering wheel rim. We think Lotus should ask its brother GM division, Saginaw Steering, for one of its famous tilt wheels. But knowing how fast you're going in a car like this isn't all that important. No more so anyway than seeing where you've been, who you've passed, or what's behind you. You learn to adjust your mirrors carefully. For make no mistake, this is a mid-engined exotic car. Power comes from 4 cylinders, but this one has the best credentials, using 4 valves per cylinder and a turbocharger to produce 215 horsepower. To get the best performance on our sticky test track, we had to rev the Lotus engine up to 4,500 RPM before releasing the clutch. It still didn't produce the kind of heroic smoky start you'd get from, say, a Ferrari Testarossa. But when the turbo kicks in, it does get results, covering the quarter mile in an amazing 14.1 seconds. Final speed was just a few tenths of a mile per hour under 100. Since the engine has to rev fast to go fast, time to a more realistic sprint, 60, was not as quick as we expected, 5.6 seconds. That's only as fast as the last Porsche 911 we tested. The first few runs up the racetrack ended after second gear for one of our drivers. He had a problem pushing the shifter smoothly home to third. But once he developed the right touch, the process became second nature. The overall feel is notchy, but it's still superior to that of most other exotic car shifters. The car demands a lot of finesse from its driver, but learn how to drive it and it treats you well. Take the brakes. They are not of the anti-lock variety, and the pedal is fairly firm. So a clod-kicking foot here will send hundreds of dollars worth of rubber up in smoke. Learn a firm but gentle touch, and the Esprit rewards you with satisfying short stomps. Ours averaged 106 feet from 55. Here's another example. In our slalom, the Lotus had the least body roll of any car we've ever tested. Just look at how close the roofline stays to horizontal. But to take advantage of this stick-to-the-road characteristic, you have to be very smart with the steering wheel. Turn out of sync and the whole car fights you. Strangely enough, that impression goes away as speed increases and turns widen out. The faster you go, the more confident the Esprit feels, and its mid-engine weight distribution makes it harder to spin than rear-engine sports cars like the Porsche 911. And what's it like living with the Esprit? If it matters, there's ample storage room. While up front, little or nothing can squeeze in between the spare and master cylinder. When not in use for top storage, a weekend's worth of soft luggage fits easily in back here behind the engine. It also doesn't get too hot after a day's drive. The Lotus uses tall 60 series tires that deliver a smooth ride by exotic car standards. The alloy wheels add a unique styling touch with a convex design for the front and wider concave ones at the rear. Interior sound measured 71 decibels at 55. Fairly quiet for an exotic, and EPA ratings of 17 and 27 are commendable. Our car averaged 19. And the new Lotus Esprit Turbo is cheap as exotic cars go. $62,500 is the base price. That's half a Testarossa. The only option is metallic paint at $850. The Lotus Esprit Turbo hit us just right with its high-quality fiberglass and good body finish. We liked its engine, good highway ride quality, and need we say it, its high-speed handling. Which leads us to only its two misses. The engine only offers punch at higher RPM, and that's easier to get used to than the blocked gauges. For comparison, the Pantera GT5S sells for a few thousand more. It offers better low-speed response from a V8 engine. It also has a head-turning appeal, but it lacks the refinement and more nimble feel of the Lotus. The Lotus Esprit Turbo is a car that will happily do things that most others won't. But to enjoy it, you have to learn how to treat it. And that's just another one of the hardships, like finding safe places to park and answering the admiring questions that goes into living with the Esprit Turbo. But it's a hardship that we'd be happy to endure again and again and again.